Algebra 2, D12, domain and range of absolute value functions. On D12, we're going to have graphs. On D13, we're just going to have equations, but it's not going to be bad. Okay, if you got through D13, or I'm sorry, D11, let me back up. D12 and D13 are domain and range. These are not going to be near as bad as D11. So if you got through D11, then you are on the downstretch of Unit D. Okay, so I try to give you some notes here. Domain and range of absolute value functions, and we're going to have some graphs here. It says find the vertex and put it in this form. So the vertex right here is at 0, 0. If you have an absolute value graph of V, then to be able to find the domain and range, this is what you're going to do. The domain of an absolute value function is always going to be all real numbers. Domain is your x, the range is your y's. The domain is whatever x can be, the range is whatever y is going to be after you figure out what x is, okay? So remember, it's, you know, something like this where x is inside the absolute value. So it's going to look like this. If you are asked for the domain of any V-shaped going up or going down V, and it asks you the domain, it doesn't matter what's going on here. It's always going to be all real numbers. Okay? Now, the reason I told you to put it in vertex form is because of your range. So if you took the time to, well, it helps if I read what the question is first. So, range. If it asks for the range, and the range is y's, your range is always going to start at this number, whether it's going up, a positive V, or going down, a negative V, okay? So if it asks for the range, then you're going to look at your y. This V is a positive V, and it's going to start at 0. Your range is never, ever going to be all real numbers on an absolute value graph. Your range is never not going to have an underline here because this is an actual point. It's not open. If it's open, then you wouldn't have a line underneath here. Okay, so this is pronounced the set of y such that y is greater than or equal to 0. The set of y such that y is less than or equal to 0. Well, since our y's are going up, they're not going to get smaller. No, they're going to get bigger. So that's how you find the range. And whatever this number is whatever this number is going to be. The domain, it's V. I don't care. I'm not looking at anything. It is all real numbers because you can put anything inside this in for X and be able to do it and get some kind of answer. So your domain for absolute values is always going to be all real numbers. What is the domain and range for this function? This function is absolute value because it's V. So the domain is always going to be all real numbers. So on this, if I'm given multiple choice, I'm knocking this out and this out because it's saying the domain is not all real numbers. And I know that it is. Okay, so let's go back here. The vertex. The vertex is at 0, -2. Well, I really don't care what that x is because I already know that the x is all real numbers, but the y is -2, and it's going up. So this is saying right here, this is saying y is less than 1. Well, 1 isn't even on the vertex. This is saying y is greater than or equal to -2, which means it starts at -2 and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The domain on this one is +1, 0. I really don't care what the 1 is. I'm just looking at the 0. This is all real numbers for the domain, and this is your range. So all real numbers, nope. All real numbers, nope. It's going up. If it's going up, then we're going to have, then we're going to have this arrow, not this arrow. This arrow means that it's going down. Okay. Almost finished. So this is at 2, 8, but it's going down this time. Damn. Don't really care that that's a 2 because we want all real numbers. It's going down. This arrow, and it doesn't even have an equal sign underneath it, so that's automatically wrong, but it's getting bigger too, and it's at 2, and we don't care that it's at 2 because we need this number to be at 8. So all real numbers, and that's it. I think you will do fine on this, but if you need any help, just ask.